Welcome to Leen on Kindness with Eileen Tucker Cosby, a podcast dedicated to spreading kindness, fostering empathy, and eliminating hate, one story at a time. Hello, I'm so excited to be here today because I have the opportunity to have one of the dearest people in the world that I know, and her name is Gena Schaublin. Gena is a very successful real estate agent, and before she did that, she was in mortgage banking, and now she's combined the two together, and you couldn't ask for better. I mean, she's got her act together. And I have known Gena for many, many, many years, let's say well over 30, and I have watched her grow into the incredible woman that she is, and I'm so excited that she's here today. Hi, Gena.
Hello. Oh my gosh, that is such a nice intro. I don't even know how to follow that. That is very sweet and very kind.
Well, they're going to find out as we move along why you are so incredible.
Oh, you're too kind.
So, Gena, you know, the podcast is all about leaning on kindness, and we're talking about, of course, belonging and how important that is in the world, and some of the challenges that happen as a result of us making decisions not to be kind and not to be inclusive. And so we're going to be talking about some of the experiences that you have had in that area today, and in the ways that you might also be able to help others to move along better in this world of kindness and belonging, and helping others to be included. So I think you're one of the perfect people to talk to about this subject. So thanks again for coming.
Of course. It's an important topic.
It is. It very much is. And so I would love for you to tell our listeners where you were born and raised, and how you moved forward into being able to come to the Phoenix area, and how some of that pretty much characterized your life. So we'll start about where it is that you were born and why that's significant.
So I was born in Redwood City, California, but I was only there for 6 months as a baby.
Okay.
And then we moved to Arizona in a place called the White Mountains, Sholo, Lakeside, Pine Top. And my dad is German and a white tall guy, and my mom is Filipino and a brown short girl. And so,
and the combination made Gena.
And the combination made me Mocha. And we lived up there until I was in second grade. But when you're a kid, you don't know, you're just living in a place. My grandparents were there. My German grandparents were there. And do you want me to go into my school situation?
What was that like? So there you were, the combination of these two individuals that you just described.
Yes.
And so you went to elementary school there?
Yes.
And so what was that like? Tell us a little bit about
that. So very different, but when you're a kid, you only notice certain things, right? So it was a very Mormon town. So if you were not Mormon, you were not getting a job. They wouldn't give my dad a job because he was married to a brown woman. And my mom finally got a job at like the five and dime place. And my dad was working as like a handyman for my grandparents' RV park that they had. But my mom wanted out of there, of course, because it wasn't very friendly for a brown woman with 4 kids and a white husband. So my dad finally got a job at UPS, and he had to work for 1 year without being late and no sick days to be able to transfer. And that's when we transferred up to the big city of Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
But going to school there was crazy, because these were back in the times where teachers didn't have to call the parents and say, let's have a meeting. We're going to talk about what's going on with your child. Mm-hmm. They would open up those big
like accordion type.
Yeah, those accordion curtains where they would open up like 4 classrooms, and they could totally paddle you and then tell your parents later with a paddle in front of everyone. So I've always been a very boisterous chit chat girl. So they would put like those cardboard things around me. You know how everyone would sit in a circle and there'd be like 4 kids at a table. Well, they'd put like a pie-shaped cardboard thing around me because they said I talked too much, but then I would just go around and talk to
people anyway.
Yeah, because I was bored back there.
So did you feel a little bit that you were being picked on? I mean, were you the only brown, non-Mormon little girl in your classroom?
Yes, and it was crazy. So, those feelings, you don't know what that is when you're little, but I would go home and I remember telling my mom, I hate you, because if it wasn't for you, I would look like dad, and then I would look like everybody else at school. So I look back now as an adult and how terrible that should have been or was for my mom. And, you don't know. It's like from the mouth of
But
babes,
when
right?
when everyone else, the standard of beauty is what everybody else looks like and doesn't
Yeah.
look like you, then that would be a normal thing. I went through that too.
Yeah. It's
When I was
crazy,
coming up
right?
in an all white area. So yeah, that's just you're not mature enough to know any
Hmm.
better. Other than that, you're different,
Yes.
and because you're different, you're being treated differently.
Exactly. I mean, at that age, you want to blend in. You want to be like
Sure,
everybody
you want to
else.
be like
So
everyone else.
yeah, that was a bit crazy. And I mean, so much so that when we moved up to Phoenix, which is the big city for us being from there, even I remember in 7th and 8th grade when I would have a boyfriend and he's like, I want you to meet my parents. And I would say, do your parents know I'm brown? I just need to know before I meet them.
So you were already thinking that was quite an issue based
Yeah.
on the experience that you had
Yeah.
prior to that. So when you first moved to Phoenix, how old were you when you first moved to Phoenix?
2nd grade.
Second grade. Okay.
Yeah.
So from that point to junior high school, what sort of experiences did you have as it pertained to the way that you looked? Were you blending in a little bit, or it kind of sounds like
Yeah.
maybe not too much if you
Well,
were
not in
concerned about it
second.
in the
Yeah.
7th grade?
2nd through 8th grade, not. And then I do remember in 2nd grade when we lived up in the White Mountains, and they're actually called the White Mountains, which is so funny. It never even occurred to me. Like, oh, we're up here in the White Mountains. But yeah, I just thought it
I
was White
doubt
Mountains
that they
because
named it that
yeah,
because of
it's snow and stuff. But it's kind of
okay.
funny when I say it to other
When you
people.
think
I'm
about
like,
it.
well,
Yeah.
I remember my babysitters saying to me, we lay out on the rooftops and slather Crisco oil on to have your color of skin. There will come a point where you will love the skin color you have. And that happened in 8th grade on my cheer team. Like in the winter, everyone would be pasty and I would still have a little bit of color because I actually do get pasty in the winter, which is funny. But I don't get as white as they were. So I always had a tan if I put lotion on, And that's when you're like, oh, it's finally a benefit to be mocha.
Wow.
It never occurred to me, right?
Well, what a blessing
Um,
that must have been for you when you were little that babysitter said that to you. I mean, that must have
yes.
given you
Well, I didn't
a
even believe it. I was like,
oh,
whatever. You're just trying to make me
oh,
feel good. And it didn't occur to me
sure.
until 8th grade. And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'm
Well, let's
looking
put some
kind of
lotion
good.
on and you guys should probably go lay in a tanning booth.
Right. So were most of your friends, so you have this boyfriend, you're a little concerned that his parents won't like you because you're brown. But were you starting to feel a little good about yourself? I mean, you've got this tan, people are a little bit envious and you're fitting in. It's not so much now brown or white. It's just, this is who I am in this
Yes.
world.
Hmm.
And were most of your
Yes.
friends white at that point?
Yes. I mean, the neighborhoods we lived in, just where I was, I started to slowly feel not so brown. And I don't know. I
So
just,
you started feeling not so brown, but started feeling white.
yes, because
Okay.
my dad is white,
Sure, sure.
Um,
And that made you feel good about yourself, I
yeah.
would imagine.
Well, because then I wasn't like sticking out. It wasn't a weird thing. And then there's other things to like look at. I had really great hair back then. Um, I had a really cute body because I was a dancer. I was smart. I got good grades. I worked really hard at that.
As you
Those
still
things
do work very hard.
you just work on these things that internally you're like, I just need to be the best I can be, have the most education, be number one at everything I do, so that my skin color isn't what they're looking at. They're looking at how amazing all the things I do are. Right? It
Right.
wasn't a skin thing
Yes.
anymore.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah,
and
interesting.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just really being able to focus on the best that you can be
Yes.
instead of being determined by the color of your skin.
Yes.
Right. And that's a great thing. I'm wondering that in the neighborhood where you lived, were there people, that look like you there? You're pretty much settled into your neighborhood and that way of life.
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I
Did,
think that I usually was like one of 3 or 4 people that were a different color than white,
okay, right. But most of
So
your friends probably were.
yeah. And really there's 4 of us. I have 3 siblings. I have
Okay.
a sister and 2 brothers. So
Okay.
I'm the firstborn, then my brother Rick, then Brian and Ginger. It's kind of like the brown is in me and my brother Rick, and then my sister and my younger brother are more white. It's
Okay.
like those 2 were my dads and these 2 are the moms. So they would just know us as the Schaublins, right? I don't think anybody we were just more about our name, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
It
Yes.
wasn't
Yes.
it was more about that. And because my last name is Schaublin, clearly German.
Yes.
And my first name is Gena. So if someone sees it on a piece of paper, they're like, oh, she's Italian. Oh, no, she's German. And then they see me and they're like, what are you? Mexican? Hawaiian? What are you? I'm like, I'm a girl.
I'm
like,
human.
It's such a weird thing when people say that, but I know exactly what they're saying.
Where they're coming from. Yeah.
And I think I do it to people too.
Sure.
Because people do it to me all the time. So I'm always like, what are you? And I don't mean girl or boy. I mean, like, what's your heritage?
What is your, what is your ethnic
you have
background?
Such a cool look.
Yes. So when we come back, Gena, I want to talk a little bit about how you moved into college and what some of those opportunities presented to you, and what were some of your, I guess later on, some of your eye-opening experiences as it pertained to people and privilege.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. Good. All right. Well, so we're back and we're talking about how things kind of started really working out for you. It wasn't about that you were brown. It was about that you were the best that you could be. You worked to do that. And I must say, I think I kind of mentioned a little bit before, but that's just who you are. And I love that about you. Work hard and you care. And it's not about what you look like. It's about what you bring to the table as a human being. And that ultimately is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. And I would think that as we are moving forward in your high school years and your college years, you were kind of in your own bubble, right? You were achieving and doing things, and that felt good. Did you find just being a human, some of the mistakes that we make in terms of feeling that sometimes there were people that were beneath because you were working so hard? Like, what's wrong with some of these other people? Did you ever find yourself in a place like that?
I don't know if it was beneath. I think grew up really fast because in my mind, the more education I had and the better I was at everything, the quicker I could move into whatever I wanted. And I didn't have to wait for someone's approval or for them to think I was good enough. I was always like, oh, I am good enough. I'm
right.
Like, I've got this degree and that degree, and I was my college speaker. And like, why would you even question who I am or what skin color I am? Mm-hmm. I had to elevate myself in a way that I just didn't have to hear any of the minutia, I guess.
Yes.
But it also made me know I always treated people with respect. And I think I've always been a kind person. My grandmother just taught me that. And my mom made me super social. So I would always try to go out of my way to say hello to someone that I could tell didn't have a lot of friends. Or if there was someone new at our school, I was like intrigued. I was like, who's the new girl? Hey, come sit with us. Where'd you come from?
Yes.
Where's your family? Where are you living? Like, it was more, I would just be a welcoming committee on my own because I'm like, I'm sure they're super scared, right? And why should they be scared? Just come over here and sit with us and tell us all about you. So I think that when you go through something, it makes you hyper sensitive to what other people should be, or are going through. And so you try to not overcompensate, but just come from a place of knowing how they feel.
Yes.
And if everyone did that, it would be a better world. Because
absolutely.
I think everyone's so wrapped up in their own head about what other people are thinking of them.
Yes.
Instead of thinking about the other people, because people are really thinking about themselves. They're not even thinking about you. And sometimes we get in our own heads over that, right?
Sure. And it's something when I think about here you are, this little second grader into this town where you were so different, and how as you grew up, you never forgot that. Mm-hmm. So if people think that children don't remember things and things that happen to children, you may have forgotten about it, but some things are very impactful for them.
Oh, for a lifetime.
And that's very evident in you because you were that person in high school that went after the one that maybe other people weren't paying attention to because you were that person at one point.
Yeah,
and it's paying attention is just so important, don't you think?
Absolutely. Just being aware of your surroundings, like we are aware of maybe someone that would try to rob us or anything else. Just be aware of who's around you and what's going on and what they might be going through.
Sure. So as you went on and started your career, I know that you were, have been in mortgage banking, as I had mentioned earlier, and that's a lot to learn. And you've always been so smart, and you've studied really hard, and you earned your master's degree, and found yourself living in California. Now, California is a little bit different than the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona.
A little bit?
Just a little bit. So tell us about what were some of the things that kind of stuck out to you that were different and that made you kind of think a little bit about what was going on with other people and the way that they were being treated?
Yes. So I think it's always, when they say, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future, that's how it is for us as adults, right? So if you're always around people who think a certain way, you end up thinking that way without even realizing it, right? So being here, conservative family, white dad, a mom that does whatever the white dad wants and sees political views that way, I felt the same way. And then I moved to California and I fell in love with a Mexican who was undocumented. And
So let's just stop right there first.
okay.
Had you ever dated outside of the white race or
No.
any other race? Okay.
My dad's white. I always thought I would marry a white guy. That's just in my mind what I was going to do, right?
Okay.
Like, and it really wasn't, I guess it was about color, but it wasn't about color. It's just what I knew.
Right.
So when I went to California and ended up falling in love with a Mexican gentleman, I had never been really around and someone from Mexico. I'd never really talked about or been exposed to the things that people from another country might have gone through, besides going to Rocky Point to party in college. But I never thought about like living there or what they may be going through. So when I fell in love with him, I was able to see things from his side. Whereas before I would have been like everybody else, like, why don't they just do it the right way? Why don't they just get legal? Why don't they? It's the they thing, right? Until you know a person or go through a situation. Who's they? That's what I say to people now when they're like, they. I'm like, well, who is
Like
that?
they're all the
Yeah,
same,
they.
whoever they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, however they classify every group of people, right? They. But I went through the struggles with him and how he is treated and how they treat people with lesser means, because they don't know what it's like. They've never gone through a firsthand experience with someone who doesn't have as much as we do here in America,
Sure.
right? So that gave me a completely different vibe on they and what they go
Yes.
through. They are human
And should be treated
and
as such.
should be treated as such.
So I know that you mentioned that he was undocumented. I could just hear every, people right now, well, he was illegal. And
Yes.
was that something that he just really wanted to be, was illegal? Or what were some of the challenges that he had?
No, the thing is that people are like, they should just do it the right way. And then when I say, what is the right way? Well, I don't know, but there's a right way. I'm like, that exactly. Our system here in America is not very crystal clear. If you want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, someone's going to say, get 2 pieces of bread, get a knife, get peanut butter, get jelly, get a plate. Here's how you do it. Getting legal in America is very, very murky it's very gray. What you do, what it costs, what kind of legal representation you need. They are working for wages that are much lower, and they usually can't afford to get this type of representation to get it through. And then I know people in they category who have been in the system trying to get legal for 19 plus years. So it's not like just go down and take your test to drive a car and we're going to give you a license. There are lots of steps you have to go through, and it is expensive. It is not cheap. So our government says, hey, we'll give you an EIN number, but this doesn't give you the right to work. It gives us the right to tax you. What are you taxing them on if they can't work, but you'll give them an EIN number? So,
And there's no way to understand all of that, I would say, unless you've been through it. It's just so easy to step back and say, whether it's someone trying to become a citizen, whether it's someone that's trying to buy a house, someone who's trying to get an education, the things that can be stumbling blocks, that can be difficult to get, we just say, go get it. And we want you to have it. But it may not just be as easy as that. And so stepping back and being able to look at it and say, okay, wait a minute, let's get an understanding, and then we can see how we can help instead of judgment.
Yeah. It needs to be curiosity over judgment. Like, wow, what is that process? What does that look like? And I would have said the same thing a decade prior because of everyone I was around. Well, this is the United States. Just get legal. Like, what is that process?
Right. Yes.
I went through it with him when they said, okay, we're going to make you come out of the shadows. California said, come get a driver's license, because so many people are getting picked up taking their children to school. So they're like, let's get you driver's licenses. So I said to him, let's go get our driver's license. We'll do it together, because I hadn't gotten a California driver's license either. And I'd been there 3 years because I lived in both places, half the month there.
So we're going to stop a driver's license and pick up right there, because I know a little bit about this, and this is interesting. So we'll hold your hat just a second. We'll come back. So, Gena, tell me about that driver's license.
So the crazy thing about it is in California, you just can't walk into DMV like you can here in Arizona. We had to go online, make an appointment, took a month. We finally went down there. We got in line at the same time. I went to one side, he went to the other. We took our test. He passed the test. I passed the test. I come back. I have my paper with my picture on it. And I was like, did you get yours? Did you pass? And he's like, yes, but they gave me this paper. I'm like, what's this paper? It was a yellow piece of paper that says, we need to investigate you, wait 90 days, and then we'll set you up for an appointment. So we wait the 90 days. Nothing comes in the mail. I call there. I get someone so rude on the phone. Well, in between this time, yes, he was driving illegally, but he's a contractor and he has to drive his truck. He gets pulled over on the freeway with his son in the car, who is 7, which is Joshua. Now that's 18. They pull him over, and it's a Mexican cop, by the way, who pulls him over and impounds his truck and leaves them standing on the side of the freeway. A child and the son
With a
on the side of
7-year-old.
the freeway in California. So the truck's impounded. We don't even ever get the truck back because the impound money was way higher than the truck was even worth, right? We still don't have the driver's license. I call, this is like February 13th when we went to get our license. I call at 90 days. Hey, we haven't had anybody call us. He needs his interview. Well, you're just going to have to wait another 90 days. Just being so rude. And I'm like, well, is there any way you could help us? Because what's happened in the meantime? And she has the nerve to say, he shouldn't have been driving anyway. I said, look, we are trying to go by the process.
Of course.
I'm being nice, I'm being firm and friendly because, obviously I have to be nice to this woman who has all the power on the phone. I said, this is what's happened. We have a truck that's impounded. Well, that's not my problem. You don't have a license. I'm like, yes, I understand, but I have a 7-year-old.
And so it's an attitude towards the fact that he
Yes.
is illegal, and and this is what you should have done.
Yes, I'm painfully aware of that. And we're trying to work with
And
the
we're trying to
system.
follow the
We're
rules.
trying to follow the rules set forth.
So how long did it finally take?
He finally got his license the day before Thanksgiving. And this is me sitting on the phone for an hour and 16 minutes before I finally get a government worker on the phone to give me an attitude and tell me what's going on. And finally I was like, excuse me, I need your name, I need your badge number, and I'm going to need your supervisor. Because I put him on the phone. The minute they hear his Mexican accent, she's even worse, just like berating, just very short. I'm like, nope, that's not happening today. You're going to give me your name, number, and supervisor. And we're going to get to the bottom of this. So
I can't imagine him with a Mexican accent trying to get anything done.
No, people are just so rude, but they'll be the first people to be like, can you do my landscaping for $50? Can you come build my roof out? And then I'll pay you a little up front. And at the end tell you, well, I'm not going to pay you anything. I'm not satisfied. What are you going to do about it? Like, people are so subhuman. It makes me sick.
So that really, coming from where you came from, to see that must have really changed your whole outlook.
Yeah, it's disgusting. To me, I'm like, be human, because when you're not, you better hope you don't get to be in that situation, because you're not going to like how you're treated. Yeah, it's karma. Like, treat people the way you want to be treated. It's
So
the
simple.
golden rule. Just do unto others as you would have done unto you. It's not hard. Just don't be a D word.
What was what was that commercial back in the day? Try it. You like it. You might like it.
You
might
might
like it.
Yeah. Totally. So that did change the way I think about things. And it's even funny now that that nationality separates us into 2 different political parties, which is kind of crazy to me. It shouldn't have anything to do with
It's just
it.
about being
But
human.
yes, it's about being human. And we've become so polarized as of late, maybe the past decade, I guess, or maybe it's because I'm older and I look at the politics more than I used to. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to me.
I know that you had shared with me a story about being in California again, and it's kind of wraps up what really matters when you saw a woman on the street selling flowers.
Yeah. So this actually takes me back to 1996 when I was like a smart mouth little 26-year-old, and I said something about a homeless person. And I'm like, well, they should just get a job. And you said to me, well, maybe something happened to them. You don't know what happened to them. And I was just like, and then I remember having a Mary Kay party, facial party, and I had my gold bag, and I saw a homeless person, and I could just tell they were like so mortified to be out there, but they just needed a meal. You know what I mean? From what I could tell, you
You
get
could
a
tell that they
vibe.
were
And I
embarrassed.
remember getting a 20 out and giving it to them out of my bag, right? So things change you. But I also remember being in California, and this wasn't that long ago. This maybe was 2015, maybe a decade ago. And I remember coming off the off ramp, and I was in the car with my ex, and I just said something so negative. There was a woman selling flowers. She was a Mexican woman, and we were over where his family lived. And I just said, "Why do they have to do that right at the freeway? It's just embarrassing when you get stopped right next to him." And he said in his little accent, because they're trying to feed their family. And I was like, wait, I was like, God, I'm such an asshole. I just was like, wow, I'd never even looked at it like that. And they're like,
Did you just want to go crawl? Like if
yes,
you
I
could
just
get
felt
underneath your
like a
car and crawl under
complete
there?
bougie asshole for no reason. And he said, if they can get $20 for that bouquet that they hopefully got for $10, that $10 can buy rice and beans and feed them for at least 3 days, a family of 4 to 6. And I was like, it just hit me so differently because when I first started dating him, I think I went to Whole Foods and spent $100 on like a cheese board for, for like appetizer for the dinner I was making. And he's like, $75. I could feed our family of 4 for a week on that. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I was like, you are crazy high. This is just appetizers. Like we just came from two separate areas, right?
But what a blessing that was
yes.
to be able
Yeah.
to learn about another side,
Yeah.
another way of living and try to
Yeah.
incorporate that into your own heart.
Yeah.
Of which,
Yeah.
Gena, when you get it, girl, you get it.
Yeah.
And
you really get it.
you
You're just like,
definitely have lived that. And I've seen
Yeah.
you do so many wonderful, kind things for others who don't have or who need help in other ways. You've always been there. You're that person. And so I'm grateful for some of the not so great experiences that you've had so that you can bring it to the forefront. And I also know that you are a breast cancer survivor. And so you have been the recipient of people who have been kind to you as a result of that. And I just want you to share what that feels like.
Yes, I had breast cancer 2018 to 19, and I wouldn't have made it out of that if I did not have all the friends that I had rally around me. And I don't know, I put my whole experience on Facebook because 1 in every 8 women is going to get breast cancer. And I figured if I could share my ups and downs that they could see you can get through it. You just need to be positive and focus on the outcome, So you're going to have those bad days, but you'll have good days too. So I was really blessed to have that kind of support all the way through the 365 days of that hellish chapter in my life. But again, it makes you really appreciate every single day. And it makes you really appreciate the fact that you're living and not pushing daisies. And if you want something, you have to do it now. You can't push it out. You have to just go get what you want today because tomorrow's not promised.
That's right. You can't
Yeah.
wait to be happy.
No.
Just be it.
You can't.
Right now. You
Yeah.
can't wait to be kind. Oh, I'll wait. I'll get better today.
Yeah. Today, it's not hard. Just even smiling at someone that you don't know makes their day sometimes. You don't even know what they're going through. And one quick smile could change their whole trajectory. You just don't know.
I think you said something early, and we'll close with this. You said something earlier in the broadcast that always catches my attention when I hear it, and that is paying attention.
Mhm.
Paying attention to how it is that someone may need you in ways that you can help.
Yes.
And just a quick example of where you may have done that in your life and why it's important.
In high school, there was always this girl that I would pass, I guess, on the way to one of my classes. And I would say hello to her every day. And I was doing it, but I really didn't even ever think about it. And then probably 3 years ago, this person reached out to me on Facebook and said, I knew that I would always use you if I ever bought a house because you were the only person to say hi to me every single day. I was in special needs classes, and on your way, you would always like smile at me and say hello. And I looked forward to that every single day. And I never thought about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm always like, hey, hi, ho, hum to everybody.
Hi, ho, hi,
So
ho.
yeah. So it wasn't something that I did. I don't know how you would say it. It's not something I focused on. I just
That's
did
just
that
who
to
you were.
everybody. Yeah. So
And
it
that's
was
what we
kinda
want is
cool.
for it to just come into you,
Yeah.
into your being naturally. Just
Yeah.
be kind.
Just be nice. It's not even hard.
Right. Well, you know what I always say, and we'll close. I always say that it's
kind
kind
to
to
be
be kind. So be kind.
So be kind. I always want to say it's kind to be kind. So rewind, like the blockbuster. Be kind, rewind.
Well, you were so kind to be here with me today.
My pleasure.
Gena,
Thank you
and
for having
spread
me.
so much joy and so much kindness for those who are listening today. And I hope that they will go out and be kind,
Be
because
kind.
you just need to be that way, right?
Yep, it's easy.
So much better.
It's another 4-letter word that should definitely be used daily.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gena.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too.
Okay.